Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. We got a bit of a different video today. I'm breaking down the math and exactly why you should be betting on these slips that you should be betting on. But first up, cash out the slip yesterday. We went 3 out of 4 on a 4-man flex on Underdog Fantasy. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Exactly why you guys should be playing 4-man flexes on Underdog Fantasy. The goal of this video is to help you guys understand which slip types to be playing so that we can all end up taking these apps out of business. And the first one is going to be Underdog Fantasy, guys. They are tricking you in ways that you don't even know it yet. So make sure you guys watch this video all the way to the end and hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments if you want to see videos like this. I just spent the last 20 minutes drawing up all this math, so we're going to break it down. But now, hit that like button. Let's move into it. So, by the way, if you want to get WM picks for today, join up in the Discord. Link is in the comments, and I'm dropping picks in there. But today, we're not going into any picks. We're talking straight strategy. So, first things first. Most of you guys be betting on a 2-man power over on PrizePicks. This is the most common slip type. And we're going to break it down and they talk about exactly why it's a horrible slip. I'm coming on here every single day and I show you guys the numbers. Now we're really getting into the weeds of it. So why does this work, right? The probability of going 2 out of 2, imagine as if you're just getting 50-50 odds. You don't have any edge and you're just betting like a coin flip every single time, right? Some of you guys might push back on that, say that you're better than betting at a coin flip. We're going to get there in a second, right? If you're just betting as a coin flip, your odds of going 2 out of 2 perfect on a 2-man power is 1/4, right? 50.5 times 0.5, 1/4. About a quarter of the time, will you hit 2 coin flips on heads, the same, right? A quarter of the time. And the probability that you don't go 2 out of 2 perfect, which is what you need to make money on a 2-man power on PrizePicks, is 75% of the time or 3/4, right? So put into a very simple value equation here, which is 1/4 of the time, you're going to make plus 2 units profit. And you might go, well, wait, isn't that a 3x, right? Shouldn't I be making 3 units profit? No. And that's the first trick that these apps get you with. And you probably fell for it the first time you were on the app, right? It says 3x, but they actually mean 3x your money. So that includes the original wager that you put on. So if you put in $100, right, and it gives you a 3x payout, they're actually only giving you plus 2 units, right? You're going to get your original $100 back and 200 additional dollars. So that would be 2 units of profit, not 3. So we're going to put 1/4 times 2 because a quarter of the time you're going to make plus 2 units, and then 3/4 minus 1 because 3/4 of the time you are going to lose 1 unit. You're not going to hit your 2 out of 2 and you're going to lose your original wager. So this means that you are literally losing, right? Minus 1/4. What is this minus 1/4 right here? This is the expected value on the 2-man power over on PrizePicks. This means that for every dollar you put into the 2-man power, you will lose 1/4 of a dollar, right? Over the long run, every dollar you put in, you're losing 1/4 of a dollar. So I guess a quarter, I should say, right? If you put in $100 on a 2-man powers, you are going to come away in the long run with $75. And that is just simple. That is the math. Now, let's get into what you guys are definitely thinking right now, which is that, wait a minute, I'm better than a coin flip, right? I do research. I know exactly what I'm talking about. You're probably saying this to yourself right now. There's no way I'm ahead at a coin flip. So I'll allow that and I'll say, well, let's not use 1/4 as your probability, right? Let's just use a variable here. We'll call it P squared, right? So P times P, same thing as, 1/2 times 1/2. If you're hitting at 1/2, P times P is going to be your probability of going 2 out of 2, right? And then 1 minus P squared is the odds of you don't do that, right? The odds that you don't hit both of your entries. Hopefully this makes sense. Once again, if none of this makes sense, drop it in the comments. I will explain all this. I just wrote this up. I know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. And I was trying to explain to my friend earlier today. That's why I'm coming on here making this video, because I realized maybe it's not as simple as I come on here and talk about it every single day. Maybe we should break it down in the math a little bit more. And I'm sure some of you guys do appreciate this. So you're saying, P squared is the probability of you hitting, and getting 2 out of 2. 1 minus P squared, probably you're not going 2 out of 2, right? So now down here, let me turn this camera a little bit. The value equation that I've written here at the bottom, where I've said probability is variable, right? So you're not guaranteed to hit half for your slips, right? Let's say that maybe you're not coin flipping. Maybe say you're better than a coin flipper, right? So we're just going to use a variable here. So we've got P squared times 2. It's the exact same thing, right? Because, P squared amount of times, right? We'll see. That's not going to be as clear cut as this, which was a quarter of the time. Here it'll just be the amount of times that you hit your bet, right? The probability of you hitting your bet times 2. Because if you hit your bet, you're getting 2 units profit. And then if you don't hit your bet, you're getting minus 1 units, right? Equals 0. We set this to 0 so that we can see what P would be in order for you to make $0 for every, or, $0 of loss, $0 of profit, right? So we set this equal to 0. And whatever we get with P will be the percentage that you need to hit at on your individual picks in order to break even. So like I said up here, right? This final result was 1/4, meaning that if we put in $100 into PrizePicks on 2-man powers and we just lock that in over a long period of time, over the long run, we will lose 1/4 of our money. So we will come back with $75. For every dollar we put into PrizePicks and play 2-man powers, we're coming back with 3/4, right? 75 cents. In this case, we're setting it to 0 because for every $100 we put into PrizePicks, we're going to come out with $100 exactly back, assuming that this probability matches this equation. So we're going to solve for P real quick. This is not going to take very long. 3P squared minus 1 equals 0. So 3P squared equals 1. P squared equals 1/3. And you just do a simple square root here. P equals the square root of 1/3. And you're coming up to this number right here, which hopefully it's legible down here. This number, let me see if I can write it a little bit bigger right here, is 57.44%, right? So literally around 57.5% of your bets. So what does that number really mean? That means that if you hit your PrizePicks specific picks, right? Now we're not talking slips, we're talking individual picks. And this is no demons, no goblins. By the way, if you're playing demons and goblins, check out another video on my channel. Demons and goblins suck. We'll talk about that another day. But this is just, if you're playing regular slips on PrizePicks, no team picks, player props, right? And you hit at 57.44% and you're only playing 2-man powers, you will break even on your entries. Congratulations, you've just broken even. You've made no money, even though you're hitting at a very, very good rate here of 57%. Now you might go, wait a minute, that sounds like an absolute scam, right? How am I hitting at such a good rate on one of the most, reputable apps out there, PrizePicks, honestly. They're pretty popular, but they're not making me money, right? I'm hitting at a good rate. Why am I not making money? Well, it's because you're betting the wrong slip type. Now, there are good slip types on PrizePicks that we can get into in another video, but I know a lot of you guys are on Underdog Fantasy, and the reason we need to talk about Underdog Fantasy is because they have a slip type that I've written up over here that is genuinely the best thing I've seen in my 3 or 4 years of being in the DFS space. There is nothing that compares to how good this slip type is. Now, I'm showing you guys on the screen right now what just happened recently with Underdog Fantasy. This was, I believe, at the beginning of August, and right now it's August 26th as I'm recording this video, 2026, of course. This is an insane update that should literally help all of you guys profit more. We just got into why PrizePicks is scamming you guys with 2-man powers. And I'm sure before you guys watch this video, a ton of you guys were betting 2-man powers on PrizePicks. Hopefully we're going to change that. And now let's talk about Underdog Fantasy and why this update matters a ton. So they changed a lot of their payouts. 3X's for a 2-man now pays 3.5X. That's a very good entry, but not the best. 3 picks, 3-man pays out 6.5X, and a 4-man pays out 12X, right? All those are good and well, but those are the power picks. And what they didn't tell you about, and honestly, I think this is intentional, they didn't tell you about the 4-man flex pick. They just told you about the 4-man standard pick, the 4-man power pick. Because secretly, the 4-man flex pick is now the most profitable entry type in all of sports betting, and I have not heard enough people talk about this. We're going to break down the math using the exact same thing that we just talked about for the 2-man power on PrizePicks and explain why this is the most profitable slip type. Let's get into it. So for a 4-man flex, first of all, they are paying you out 7.2x if you go 4 out of 4. I don't know if my mic is picking this up. They're paying you out 1.8x if you go 3 out of 4, right? That's huge. On PrizePicks, it's a 5x if you go 4 out of 4 and a 1.5x if you go 3 out of 4. It's just a completely different game right now on Underdog. So what happened is when they increased the standard payout, right? 10x is now 12x. They increased the flex payout too, and this is the best slip type. So probability of 4 out of 4 is P right here, P of 4. We're just going to use the variable. We're not going to even mess around with if you're hitting at a coin flip, right? So P to the 4th is the probability of you getting 4 or 4. Why is that the case? Because you got to hit 4 in a row. So it's the probability of you getting one bet, right? Multiplied by itself, multiplied by itself, multiplied by itself. Because you got to hit one bet 4 times in a row in one parlay. So it's P to the 4th. Probability of you getting 3 out of 4 is P to the 3rd because you only have to hit 3 bets, but it's P to the 3rd times 4. And this should also be 1 minus P here. 1 minus P because you got to hit 3, then you also got to miss 1 in order to get a 3 out of 4, right? That's the way that it works. So P to the 3rd, you got to hit 3 times 4 because it could happen in any of those 4 spots, right? You could miss the first one, second one, third one, fourth one. And then 1 minus P because, you're hitting 3 and you're missing 1, right? That's the way that it works. Now, the value equation's a little bit more complicated this time, but it's basically the same stuff, just simple arithmetic. It's going to be P to the 4th 6.2 because 6.2 is 1 minus the 7.2. Same thing that we talked about here with the 2-man power, right? Like you're making 3x on it, but you're only profiting 2 units, right? It's the exact same thing. 6.2, 0.8 here for a 1.8x. And then this whole jumble here at the end is just the odds of you losing the pick, right? So it was very simple over here. It was 75% of the time you lose the pick. Here it looks a little bit more complicated, but it's just -1 here. When you lose the pick, then you're going to get -1 units, right? You're going to lose 1 unit. And it boils down to this. I'm not going to go through all the math. It's just all right here if you guys want to see it. It boils down to this, right? The P is this. It's P to the third equals 1 over 7.2. So then P equals the cube root of 1 over 7.2, right? Very standard stuff. And what this actually equals is 51.8%, right? So they've made this math more difficult because they know, first of all, most people don't even do any math. They don't even go up to a whiteboard when it comes to sports betting. They just look at colors on their screen and fucking send entries like it's nobody's business, right? But even if you do look at the math, the 2-man power math is a lot easier than the 4-man flex math, and that's on purpose, right? They want to make sure that this is a better kept secret. But if you just do the math anyways, you can find out this is not even a close debate, right? Here, 51.8% is much lower, right? Much lower than 57.44%, right? What are these two numbers? This number is a 4-man flex on Underdog. And then this number here is a 2-man power on PrizePicks, right? So this is exactly like we talked about here with the 57.74%. That was the percentage of your individual picks, percentage of your individual picks that you need to hit at in order to profit or no, break even on a 2-man power on PrizePicks. This 51.8 is the percentage of your individual picks that you need to hit in order to profit a 4-man flex or break even, on a 4-man flex over on Underdog Fantasy. I'm saying break even because technically if you're hitting at exactly this percentage, you're going to make $0 over the long run. You're just going to, break even. But if you hit a little bit more than this, you will profit mathematically over the long run. Now, this means you are not playing any goblins or demons. You are not playing any multipliers because that's what they call them on Underdog Fantasy. You're not playing any team picks, and you're just, you're combining it with the promos if you want to, but you're only playing 4-man flexes. You're not jumping in and saying, you know what, today I feel like playing a 2-man power. Like, no, don't do that, right? You know this is the most profitable slip type. There's plenty of other slip types I didn't show on this. I just showed 2-man power, the most popular pick, 4-man flex, the best pick, right? But this is by far the best one. The other good ones, if you guys are interested, the 2-man power on Underdog Fantasy is pretty good for 3.5x. The bar on that is actually a 53.5% bar. The math is pretty easy for that one. You guys can do it on your own probably. And then the other one is on PrizePicks. If you're only on PrizePicks and you want to see what's the best one, the 5-pick and 6-pick flexes hit at around, or not hit at around. I'm pretty sure it's around a 54.5%. Might need to double check that, but it's 54.5%. I believe is what you need to hit at in order to break even. The best slip types on PrizePicks are the 5-man and the 6-man flexes, and the best slip type that you guys can be locking in right now is the 4-man flex on Underdog Fantasy. And I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but if you guys are not on Underdog Fantasy yet, guys, sign up with code BAM. It's pretty clear now that I'm not just doing this video to promote the app. Of course, I want you guys to get on the app, but my number one goal is always to make you money. I would not be doing math here at 1 a.m. if it wasn't that. But this is by far the best slip type on every app. Underdog, PrizePicks, Sleeper, Rebet, everything, Better, Chalkboard, whatever app you're on, whatever app is your favorite. Guys, Underdog Fantasy's 4-man flex play is better. Even FanDuel, DraftKings, and Kalshi, right? Those hit at around a -110, right? I'll show you. This is a bonus nugget for those of you guys who are still here. It's -110 is what you get, right, for when they say it's even odds, right? So they'll have the over and the under at -110 or the point spread at -110, right? This 51.8%, the -110, I'm pretty sure it's exactly 52.38%. Or maybe 52.5, right? It's something around there. It's a 52% chance is the bar, right? If you convert this into percentages, right? Which means if you convert this into American odds, it's -107 right here. So you're getting every individual pick, the implied odds. You're getting them at -107 when on a FanDuel or a DraftKings, you're getting it at -110, right? So it is literally by far and away the best place you guys can be spending your money right now is Underdog Fantasy 4-man flex plays. Please do not play another two-man power on PrizePicks. I don't care if it's Taco Tuesday. I don't care if you guys feeling good about it. I don't care if you guys saw someone on Instagram who's saying this is the best two-man power and who said that they've won a lot recently. Guys, don't do it to yourself. Follow the math. If the math doesn't make sense, please, please, please drop a comment. I clearly love talking about this stuff, and I will respond to every single comment on here. Even if just 2 of you guys watch this video and stop playing two-man powers on PrizePicks, I'll feel good about that. That's all I got for this one. I appreciate y'all watching the video. If you want picks for today, join up in the Discord. Picks for every day, join up in the Discord. Link is in the comments. And let's keep making some money, guys, and this feeling runny from these sportsbooks. Let's get it.